Hello, today I'm going to show you how to set up a very simple GitHub repo that I have made, which connects to Google's API for image recognition to pick out the text in an image. So this is the GitHub. I'll put the link in the description, as they say on the YouTube. So in here I have a bunch of different files which we'll go into in more depth later. I've got a little architectural overview diagram that you can have a look at to understand what's going on, and I've also put written descriptions of each of the files that are important. But I've also put in some instructions on how to set this up on your own computer, so you can follow that if you would rather see a text version. So I'm going to download this repository of code, and actually there's two options here. I can either download the files as they are today, which is option A, or I can set up a Git account and I can use Git's cloning feature to take a copy to my local computer, which is still connected to this one that's on the internet. And that means that if I were to change anything, anybody who had cloned it would be able to get an update. But today, I'm just going to be doing option A because it's much simpler. So, for option A, I need to click on the download button. So there's this big green clonal download, and I'm going to click this download zip. There we go. So now it's downloaded, and when I click on this, it will open it in my Windows Explorer panel. So actually, if we go back one step in the file hierarchy, you'll see that I've actually done this already, but they're still forming zip files. So what I need to do is I need to right click and I need to click extract all. So this is going to automatically take all the files and put them in a new folder called Starter Google Text Scanner Master, which will appear in Downloads. So I don't want to put it in Downloads, so I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to say to put it in Documents, and I'm going to create a new folder called My Google App, or whatever you want to call it. And I select the folder, and now it will put all of my files that are coming from this zipped up folder into this. So, extract. There you go. So it's opened up my new folder. Here we are. Okay. So let's have a look at the next instructions. So we've done this step 1. Now we're on to step 2. Install npm and node. So it says to open my terminal or command line. So let's have a look. The terminal will be for Mac, command prompt will be for Windows. So it says to run npm.ls. Okay, so it's saying it's not recognized, which means I don't have it, which means I will need to go and download Node and npm from this website. Actually, what I should have said was also to, if this doesn't work, you also need to do this check, Node version, which I will update before I send out this video. So this one, I did get something back, so that means that I do have Node and I don't have to download. But if I did, I would just pick the top one, just go with either one will be fine, whichever your computer will be able to take. So actually, easier if you just click this one. So just click this one, start the install. So like, as you can see, it just picks another thing that you'll then need to go through and install Wizard for. There we go. I'll show you the install wizard, so it's not scary. There we go. And done. So you can see it just opens a wizard. So when it's computed the space properly, it will let you click next and just go through each of the steps. You can probably accept all of the default settings. Anyway, I've done this, so I'm just going to cancel that, because I've already got it. Nice. So let's look at the next instructions. So next is set up Google services. So I've already signed up for a free trial, so I already have my console, and it might look something a bit like this. So I've already set up a project, so yours might look a little bit different. But what we have to do first is go to APIs and services and library. So let's have a library. Search for APIs and services. We need the Cloud Vision API. Oh, there we go. This is the one that we want. So we'll click on this one. And we want to enable it. There we go. So now we want to get the credentials so that we can call it. So credentials is a bit like a username and password. So at the moment, I've set this up, but in order to talk to it, I need to give it a password to let it know that I am allowed to use it. Otherwise, anybody could be using your services. So let's just double check the instructions. So yeah, we've done this bit and we've done this bit. So now we need to create credentials. So this is a little bit different because when I took the screenshot, I'd already done this. But I haven't this time. So let's create credentials. Yeah, we're using Cloud Vision API. Cool. Let's just go with yes. I'm using them on both. Or I guess we can click. Which one do I need? Yes, that's fine. We do need to create credentials. Cool. All right. That did it for us. Nice. So actually, what we need is a service account key. So we want a new one. We can call it whatever we want. We can call it My Google App or something. There we go. And we're going to say that it's the owner, just so that it gives it all access to everything. Okay, so JSON, that's what we want. So let's click create. Cool, and it's made us a little file here. So what we want to do is we want to move this. We don't actually want to open it, we just want to open it in our file explorer. Go in folder. There you go, it's gone into our downloads. So we want to move this into the folder that we made earlier. So if we cut this, we go to our documents, we'll go find our Google app, and we want to put it inside this folder here. So paste it. And we're going to rename it to service, oh I can't remember what I said to call it. I think it's service-key.json. So rename service key. That's right, wasn't it? Yes, there we go. Alright. So now we've got everything that we need to run our project now. So first things first, we need to go to our project in the command line. So I put instructions on how to move through folders on command line up here in part B. So you can have a look at that if you get stuck, but just briefly, you can use DI. So you see this bit here, the C --users/MIDI. That tells you where you currently are in your file hierarchy. So this is pretty much the same as looking at File Explorer. So you see here, we're in this PC basically. This is where we are. It's the equivalent. So if I do dir, you'll see that there's actually a lot of these very familiar things here. So you've got documents, you've got downloads, you've got pictures. Very much like how it looks here. It's pretty much the same. So in order to move into one of these files, rather than clicking, we have to do something. We have to use a command line command. So we go cd, which means change directory. And we're going to go into documents. And you see it's now updated our file path. So we're now in documents. So if I do dir again, you can see here are all of my folders that are in documents. And so one of them is the My Google app. So now I can go cd my Google app. And we can do dir again and see that we have the start of Google text scanner master in here. So let's go start Google. Oh, I wrote it wrong. My bad. There you go. I just pressed the up key to go and collect the most recent command. So if you ever need to do that, but if you ever end up in the wrong folder and you need to go back up one, you can do CD ++, and that'll get you one step up. So we're back into our starter app from GitHub. So the next step is to install dependencies. Yes. So this means there's a bunch of other people's code or packages that I've used to make my app work better. So in order to take all of that in, I'm going to run npm install. And this is going to install each of the things that I said it needed to use. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to open a code editor so that I can do more coding on this thing. So I'm using Atom. There's some other good ones, so there's Sublime is good. Visual Studio Code tends to be what's preferred, but I've got into the habit of using Atom. Probably I'd recommend Visual Studio Code over Atom, if I'm honest. So I'm going to open a project, and I'm going to open my Google app, and I'm going to open this select folder. There you go, here's all my files. Very nice. And this Node modules one is what all of those packages I'm installing are being put into. So when you download it, you won't see that yet, but after you run npm install, you will. And if you have a look at package.json, this lists all the things I'm downloading. So these are all the things I'm going to download. So let's see how it's doing. Ah, excellent, it's all done. So now, what's the next step? So we first need to run this script here. This is going to tell our application to use our Google password, basically. Right, good thing I tested this, because actually it's saying export's not recognised. That's because it's the Mac version. So if I'm on Windows, I need to say set. I will update the docs for this. Google application credentials equals service key.json. Yay, there we go. That's what we have to do. Right, let's go back to our instructions. Great, so now we just have to run it. So if I do node server.js, it's not happy with me. What's it missing? It does exist. Let's just double check we call it the right thing. Service key.json. It's there. Oh, I know why. It's because it's putting in these extra things. 1 second. So let's take these speech marks out because they're not needed on Windows. That'll do it. Try again with node server.js. Hey, excellent. It's now running on port 1100. So that means that if I go to my web browser and I create a new one, I can go localhost 1100. Cool. So that's the default message. So let's just wait for Google to send the API call. In fact, can we see it happening here? Oh, okay, I need to put billing on mine. I have to connect a card to my API account or it will work. Great. 1 second. If you want to stop this at any time, you say Ctrl+C. There you go. Let's stop. Right, I've gone away and I've set up my free Google free trial, so now it should work. So if I do node server again, running, let's refresh this. Okay, Google. Yay! Here we are. So this is updated the message that was on our HTML with the contents of the image, which is actually stored locally. So here is the image. So got recognition rather than recall, blah 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 blah. And you can see here recognition rather than recall, blah 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 blah. The same. Okay. So that concludes all of the instructions that are on the GitHub. The next step is to update this application with the stuff that you actually want it to do. So probably a good way to start would be to update what the HTML is. So all of this public folder is your HTML, CSS, app.js. So you can just replace this with your own HTML and CSS and see what happens. I might make another video explaining maybe how to connect the Google API to your own HTML. So that's all for now. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if there is a specific line in the instructions that you don't understand or can't use, and I will